Hi, everybody. How are you? I see everybody's been chatting. I've read most of them. Danny's getting a pool together. Um, how is everybody's booking frenzy? How were your classes? Are classes a little down? I saw you guys chatting about that. I opened 9 slots. I had 4.5. I had a trial no-show that I sat there. So literally half today. But my booking frenzy was great. I woke up with 30. And then you know how after 8 hours, some of the classes disappear on your app. And then as the day went on, I had 30 again because as some disappeared, I had a lot booking this morning. So I had a great booking frenzy. Just the first few days, today, tomorrow, Wednesday, are really light. Like tomorrow, I only have, I think, 3 classes. Yes, I have a VIPKID shirt on. So I got this from Teacher Paige was having a giveaway on her channel. Oh, sorry, Evelyn. Didn't get a lot of bookings. Happy birthday to your sister, Evelyn. I'm sorry you're not able to see her on her birthday. Yeah, that was the bad thing about mine is even though I only had 4.5 bookings, I only got to sleep in for a half hour. They were very broken up. So I would rather slept in more. So anyways, while I'm doing the opening beginning chats, everybody start putting in the chat box, tell me your teacher tags, and I will read them in a minute after, Okay, so I had a good weekend because, woohoo, soccer's over. Don't get me wrong, I like soccer, but driving an hour or more to a soccer game once or twice each weekend. Plus, I drive a lot to doctor appointments during the week. It was getting old, so I'm happy to have a break. So what are you guys chatting about? My Tuesday, Thursday are booked at Gogokid. The 9 doesn't book. Yay for rest and sleeping in, self-care. I think I'm going to do that tomorrow. Tomorrow, my first 3 slots didn't book, so at the very least, I get to sleep in. So is everyone's classes in booking frenzy? My classes were good, the ones that I did have. Well, Evelyn, go back to the ticket you created when you asked and find out. Easily just go to the VIPKID site. Okay, Heather's tags are low-key, supportive, ESL beginner techniques. Okay. And as time goes on, Heather, you should be able to get 5, or you can even send in a ticket asking for 2 more because I think the teachers, they can search you by your tags. Just go to your tickets, where your tickets are, and you can click on something that says archived tickets, and then you can see your old tickets. So yeah, that's how to do that. So is everyone doing well? I will tell you what my teacher tags are in a minute. Do they change as you go along? Good question. I haven't even been here a year and I only asked recently. So some people who are more veteran teachers, let us know. Do they change? So let's see. Mine are easygoing, supportive. Now I know what the word supportive means, but I looked at this and said, well, what does that mean when they say I'm a supportive teacher? So I went to the Chinese right next to the word and did a Google Translate, and the supportive translated to encourage her. So I like that word better. So it's like easygoing and supportive / encourager. Sorry about that. Forgot. Then I also got pronunciation correction, grammar, and beginner techniques. So when I read these, I thought, dead on. This sounds exactly like me. Supportive was one of mine. Evelyn, well, now you know that supportive really means an encourager. ESL beginner techniques. I think it would mean like, when they're learning to read, you have good techniques. Yes, Danny, I purposely put this here because I wanted to show you my level 6 reward. So since you asked, and while everybody else is getting their teacher tags to tell me what they are, I'll explain this. So has anyone taught a level 6 course? The sample reward slide looked Sorry, it's the I'm seeing it the opposite, so it's hard. All right, look like this. So my daughter has an American Girl horse that she just hasn't gotten around to selling. So it totally went along with this. I taught this lesson today and I also taught it yesterday. So it was so perfect. So all the things that go on a horse because you're learning about a horse. So I have the horse, and then when they get a reward, I say, choose something, from this that goes on a horse. So I don't have every single thing on this. So the first time I would show this and ask them, but then I would just went to the approach. I'll show them what I have. Do you want the saddle? Do you want the prize ribbon? Do you want the bridle? The shovel? I have hay. So I think this is a pretty cool reward. It went along so well with the reward slides suggestion, and they're learning all about horses in a stable, and they're learning, words like saddle and about horse shows, and usually level 6s think rewards are babyish. So this one was fun. I had a girl today and a boy yesterday. Yes, I couldn't have been more perfect when I saw the reward slide suggestion. I was like, yes, I could do that one. A farm or a garden one. You mean a class, Danny? So, Danny, did you ever get your teacher tags? Let's see. Who else? Oh, Kim, go back. This is what Evelyn's doing right now. Go back to your old tickets and look. Patient, supportive, funny is our Mary Ann's. And you guys can go back to the VIPKID site, go under tickets, and look at your archived tickets. Okay, the horse, yeah. So, anyways, while you guys are doing your teacher tags, I want to talk about feedback. Who has read Ed Nace's book? I think most of you did. Looking at archive now. Yeah, so I read his book. So I read both the regular and the expanded version. I read it while I was camping. The only time I really have time to read is when I'm on vacation. So his book was good. I will be honest with you guys. I probably did everything everybody says not to do. I just gave a rundown of the class, and then that was it. So I do use Feedback Panda, and I love them. Yes, they do have templates, but I just love the way that Feedback Panda helps you keep track of your students. So even if they had no templates, I would still get them. I love them. But when I first started teaching, I had no idea what to write in the feedback. No idea. I would just do like 2 lines, or I would think about it. I just couldn't think of what to say. And then I heard about Feedback Panda. They do have templates to help, and they also keep track of your students. Yes, VIPKID does that too. But they keep track of your students by I saw someone on the Facebook pages the other day say, "Oh, I've been teaching for 2 years. I wish I knew how many times I'd seen that student, because on the app, it only gives you the last 6 months how many times." And that's the wonderful thing about Feedback Panda. And I got them pretty early on. So maybe only a few students I had before, and you can go in and change. So I love that it keeps track. Okay, so I see Evelyn said affectionate, detail-oriented, supportive, creative, and traditional. And she put hearts, so she's happy with your tags. That sounds like you. What do they mean by traditional? What does that mean, a traditional teacher? Maybe old-fashioned in the way you're teaching, which there's nothing wrong with that. Yes, Danny, you send a ticket. All you say in the ticket is, "What are my teacher tags?" I got a response less than 24 hours. Yeah, so anyways, I'll go back to talking about feedback. I had no idea what to say. So I'm really glad those templates helped me when I was new, because feedback, we don't really get paid for it. I mean, you could argue you do get paid because you'll get more bookings if you have good feedback. Yes, but we're only really paid for that 25 minutes. Whether you take 2 minutes to do feedback or 30, you get paid the same. So I'm glad that I had that at the beginning. And I have tried. Now I'm trying to get better. So I read Ed Nace's book, and he had a lot of good suggestions. The main thing that I got out of his book was pick something that they need to work on and kind of tell them how they should work on it and what they should do. In his book, he kind of says things like, oh, they need help with this. And if they do this, it'll help them in blah, blah, blah way. So Evelyn says she asked what traditional means, and people on Facebook said it's very good. It just means you teach in a traditional teaching style. Okay. Now, all right, sorry, I get distracted by the chat box. I'm going to try not to read it till I get through with a thought. So anyways, but the thing is, like, sometimes when I'm saying what they need to practice, I don't really know, like, how it's going to help them in this, and that way. So as you guys know, I was going to talk about this last week, and I'm really glad I waited a week because I've gotten better. So Christina Garcia, or Teacher Tina, had a video out. Have you guys seen it? Tell me in the chat box about feedback. And to me, Ed Nace's book was great, but her way was like so helpful to me because she broke it down in steps. So who has seen her video? Actually, I will get something and put it in the chat box. So here, this is straight from her video. I literally went to the description box on her video, put this in a Google document, and printed it out. She had all of these. And I like having like a formula like this. Like, I don't want to copy word for word what somebody says. Like, I don't want to copy what Ed Nace says word for word. So this gives me like a nice outline. So I want you guys to write in the chat box, what is your opening line? When you start your feedback, what is the first thing that you say? Tell me. Good. So it looks like a lot of people have seen it. So she says surprise. So in her video, she says, like, every single person starts their feedback off with, it was so nice to see Bao Bao today. It was so nice to see you in class. Something like that. And that is usually what I say too. Or hello. So she says, don't say what everybody else says in the opening line. So I thought that was really good. So her example that she gives in her video, she says, it's raining, it's pouring, and Bao Bao is snoring. That is a line she took from level 2, the warm-up slide. So basically her idea is like, take something from the lesson and make it clever, make it a surprise. So when I first started trying to do this advice, I could not think of what to say. I couldn't think of anything. So how about this? If you can't think of something like a surprise to say, just make it your goal not to start with, it was nice to see Bao Bao in class, or it was great to see you, something like that. Something else, anything else, even if it's not catchy and surprising. But I have to say, I've gotten better about this. I'm actually glad my last class didn't book because it gave me time. I went through Feedback Panda the last like 10 feedbacks I've done, and I copied and pasted my opening lines so that I could show you guys. They are a little bit cheesy, but I'm getting better at, giving a surprise. I am happy was one I used. And Heather says, I do things completely different. So you mean after you watched her video? And then Evelyn says, babe, Bao Bao participated actively in English class today. Talk about prize, lesson topic, vocabulary lesson. Thank you for choosing me. And then Heather says, I appreciate the teachers who are giving us a clue. Me too. I'm very thankful for this because, like I said, I didn't know. So I've been really trying to take something from the lesson and use it as my starting line. So even if it is cheesy or something, hey, you're giving them a surprise. You're not saying, nice to see Bao Bao in class. Everybody says that. Get them pulled in. So I think I've gotten better. So actually, I will start with one like maybe I did last week when I wasn't that good about it. Okay, here's one. This was the lesson all about school, and the target vocabulary words were like paying attention, listening, and student. So for the lower levels, what I do is I will write it, and then in brackets, I'll put the English, because when you put something in brackets, like it keeps the English so that they knew what I was trying to do when I said it. And in case the translation gets wonky. So here's what I said. Amy did a great job paying attention in brackets, and listening. She is an excellent student. So I was using vocabulary, but I've gotten better as time has gone on. So today, this was one of mine today. The lesson was all about India, and it was an assessment. So my opening line was, Lisa took a trip to India with me today. We celebrated Diwali, practiced Hindu, went to a festival, saw a mangrove and firecrackers. We also braved the weather through a monsoon. So these are things that I'm doing. So the one with the horse, I used all the vocabulary from the target vocabulary that they were using. If you haven't done this, Lucy got through the lesson as gingerly as a grazing horse tethered in a stable. I had another one today that was all about the healthy diet, healthy foods, what you should be eating. So I can tell Raccoon eats a healthy diet because he got through the class so easily and effortlessly. He's doing a great job with this unit so far. So here's another one. I can't even pronounce this kid's Chinese name. Bao, I'll call him Bao Bao. Bao Bao got through the lesson like an athlete with strong arms, legs, and stomach muscles. He was able to get through the lesson at 100 miles per hour. So this lesson obviously was about exercise, running fast. And I think we also learned the number 100. He learned how to spell 100. This is a kid who like flies through the lesson, so I have to extend. So we're learning how to spell numbers, and he mastered spelling 100 by the end. So that's why the 100 reference was in there. Okay, looks like Danny's leaving. All right, no problem, Danny. You can watch later. Here's another one. Bethany sprinted through the lesson like a strong athlete. She works as hard as an athlete doing push-ups and building muscles. So sprinted was one of the target words. All about being an athlete was the lesson. Okay, here's one. Ting Ting swam through the lesson like a shark with fins. She galloped like a horse with hooves through the short and long O words. She glided like an eagle with a beak to the end of the lesson. So see, I'm trying to make it like something to catch their attention from the lesson. I'm really glad she gave this this advice. Anybody good? Anybody else have some that they use? Elsa got through the lesson like a loud lion. She was quiet as a mouse when I was speaking to her, which is wonderful because she was listening to me. Her personality is like a bright light in a dark room. I really enjoy having her in class. So obviously the target words learned in the lesson were loud, quiet, bright, and dark. Okay, well, Kim, I'm not sure, but what I am doing is then in the brackets, I'm putting, so the target words, when I say she got through the lesson like a loud lion, I write loud, but then I also put loud in brackets. So whatever you put in the brackets stays English, so that then they can see what I'm doing. For like level 6, I don't do the brackets because probably those kids can just read it themselves. So that's the way I'm getting around that, is I put the target word in brackets so that they can see what I'm doing. And also to answer that too, and to go along with what Heather's saying, like they know you were studying fruits like bananas. So then when it translates, they might know what you're doing. Okay, so here's another one. Bao Bao got through the lesson like a delicious meal of meat, vegetables, and fruit. Again, you can guess what we were studying in that lesson. Okay, here's one who was, I think this was a phonics class. Mark got through the lesson like a cat on a mat with a bat. Good thing he wasn't an ill man. ill and man were also words in it. Here was one where we were doing the different jobs while we work. Diana got through the lesson today like a doctor working on a patient. I say that because she wants to become a doctor one day. And then today, Diana learned about different jobs. So Amy did a great job paying attention. Oh, I think I already did this one. But again, I put paying attention in brackets so that they can see what I'm doing. And listening in brackets. She's an excellent student in brackets. So again, I'm putting the things in brackets that I want the English to show up, so especially so that they know what I'm doing. All right, so those are examples of my surprise sentences. And too bad Danny left, because I was going to tell how I use Feedback Panda. So basically, I don't think most of you use Feedback Panda, but I'll just say it quickly for Danny's sake in case she watches later. There's 2 times you import. So the first time you import, whatever you changes it for the rest of the time. So if I have a clever opening sentence, I'm changing it in the first time so that the next time I have a student, I can keep the opening sentence. And then you import it and you can change things just for that student. All right, so the next one is highlight. So it's to just like highlight what they did in class. For me personally, kind of just been doing these 3 all in together in a quick paragraph. So for the advise, now I got this from Ed Nace, what they need to practice and what they need to expand on. He says expand translates better than extend. So if you expanded with the student, toot your own horn. Point that out to the parents, let them know, because this is not a time you want a rebooking, not a time to be humble. Praise. She had subcategories. Christina Garcia, when she did praise. Progress and clever are 2 words that translate well for some reason. So I've been using these, Balbo is very clever. He's making great progress. Now, I won't say progress if it's my first time with a student, because how would you know? You never had them before. And then for engage, these are the subcategories she said: thank, preview, and engage. So I always thank them. I say, thank you for booking a class with me. If they gave me 5 apples in the last class, thank you for the 5 apples. She says to preview what's coming up next and engage. So her advice is kind of ask a question, and that will lead them to feedback. Different people have different opinions on whether you should ask for feedback, you should not ask for feedback. Actually, the same Christina Garcia, did an interview with a parent about feedback, asking them questions. And the parent in that video actually said she didn't mind if you asked for feedback. So I take different approaches with different scenarios on whether or not I ask for feedback. If they've been to my class 1 to 3 times, I don't even ask. I don't ask new people. You don't know what they're looking for in a teacher. I think I've said that before. So if they have been to my class like 12 times, they keep coming back, you think you have great classes, but never, ever, ever left me 5 apples, then I go with the blatantly asking. I think Evelyn uses this line, or I've seen other people like, teachers love apples the way students love stars. Apples help us get incentives and raises. Please leave 5 apples. But I also will use Ed Nace's approach if they've left me 5 apples before, but they haven't done it in a while, or they're still maybe only been to my class like 4 or 5 times. And I'll say, let me know what you thought of today's class by providing nice feedback. Ed Nace says in his book, don't say something like, let me know how I can improve, because then they will. They're going to write something on how you can improve that everybody can see in the 5 apples. So I thought he was smart to point that out. Say, let me know what you like by providing nice feedback. So I have different approaches depending on the situation. And For feedback, Panda, I am writing smart sentences. So I have sentences that are like, thank you for the 5 apples. All I have to do is click on it and it comes up. Let me see what you guys are talking about. Let's see. Let's see. What are you guys talking about? Okay. Kim's reading the extended version. I'm reading I don't know how you feel, Kim. I personally thought the extended version didn't have that much more to say. It just gave a lot more examples, but didn't have that much more to say. What would you do for clothes for the season? I had a student who absolutely blew me away. I'll have to think about that one, Heather. Of course, I don't want to take time thinking while I'm on the air, but I am going to think about that. Clothes for the season. I will think about it. I'll email you later if I think of it while I'm. And then Mary says, assess each class because they are so different. I don't really like to ask for feedback and have over 1,300 parent feedback. What's your percentage, Marianne, if you don't ask for feedback? I pretty much most months I'm over the 25 that we get for raises. I was 29 last month. So I'm good. Okay. Heather doesn't. Her stats were over 30%. Okay, good. I agree, and I like the examples. I learned through examples, though. What are you talking about? The examples that I gave for my opening lines? I'm not sure. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention that she said in her video. So also Ed Nace really emphasizes this. But have something that they can practice. Now, I'm so glad she did this. But in Christina Garcia's video, she had a link where there were different examples and ways that you could practice because I have no idea sometimes. So I printed the link and I have used some of these, but now I've gotten better thinking of my own because she doesn't give a whole lot of examples and mostly they're for lower levels. So I had a student yesterday who had trouble remembering, the animal body parts like the fin and the beak. So you can still use these as a guide to help you. So I used these gave me a general idea on things that you could do, and then that helped me think of other things to do. So for that one, I was like, get out your stuffed animals and put them in different places in the room. If you don't have stuffed animals, get out of magazines or print them off the computer. And every time you walk by, say, this is a fin or something. So I got that idea from the sight word practice where they said, put the sight words around the room. And every time you go into a room, practice the sight words. So these are I recommend printing these. She leaves a link in her description box. And then these will give you ideas if the specific thing your student needs practice with isn't on here. It gives you at least ideas on something else similar you can do. Ed Nace suggests just telling them to watch the playback to help remember. So you could do that too, but I feel like my feedback's getting so much better now, you guys. The opening lines and thinking of things to practice. I used to really be bad about writing down what they need to practice too, because I like to be engaged and I would teach 10 classes and then forget, but I'm trying to get better about writing down what they need to practice so that then I can, remember when it's time to write the feedback. So let me know what you guys think. What did you think of Christina Garcia's? Do you do this? Have you been following her advice? Do you follow Ed Nace's advice, or what do you do? Let me see what you guys are talking about in the chat box. I do talk about priority booking now since they are getting out of school. Oh, Ed Nace suggests asking. Okay, I don't do that because I do not want priority booking requests. If I close my slots, it's because I'm going away, I have an appointment. I actually don't want to encourage them to ask more. I occasionally will accept them, maybe I'm already teaching that day and somebody just asked for an earlier time or something like that, but I'm not doing that one. I want them to ask a little less. I hate having to say no. Kim said, Ed's book, I agree the extended version just has examples, but they help me. So do yours, though. Okay, well, yes. Yeah, I needed more a guideline because as I said, I sit there with this right next to me when I'm doing feedback. And sometimes feedback Panda, I'll use a super short template just for the middle paragraph that kind of says what they did and they did a good job. And then I'll do surprise and engage, like at the end, I'll do my own paragraphs. Let's see. Heather said, those are awesome. I did a little research on ways to practice. I don't agree with Ed Nace on not practicing. I think his point was, excuse me, I think his point was he didn't want them practicing pronunciation like at home because then they might practice wrong. So I think that was his point. But even if they're not practicing the pronunciation, they can practice other things. They can practice just remembering the word beak and the word fin. And then he suggests asking them to watch the playback to really get pronunciation. When I was in college, I took a foreign language and we were to practice outside of school. Right. I think it helps. I also heard that Chinese parents do not think you are a good teacher without giving them ways to practice. I've heard that too. I think Christina said that in her video. And I think, or maybe you said it in one of your lives, or both, Heather. Yes. So I've gotten better about that. Right. They're practicing it wrong, Kim. Right. For specifically pronunciation. They're practicing them, but they can still practice. Like I said, there's other things not pronunciation related they can practice. Like the one girl that got things wrong on her assessment because she didn't remember what a beak was and what a fin was. She could have practiced that, just remembering, oh, this is a beak. But yes, wait till you're in class to really practice the pronunciation. Marianne said, what about giving an example at the end of class of what you're going to put in feedback regarding the advice section? Giving an example of what you're going to put in regarding the advice section. Yeah, advice. So that's where I say what we expanded on, and that's where I say, how they can practice. Usually I bring this together. Oh, they're progressing very nicely. Heather says, but I get that, but in college I still had to work on pronunciation. That's really a good idea. Melissa Costello does that by giving kid a word to work on. Oh, like a specific word. Okay. Yeah, so speaking of her, this is a side note, or one of the teachers did. I watched one of her she had a video on pacing, or I think it was called like what happens if you're running out of time. And she said something about like you have different numbers on popsicle sticks and you say like, what number do you want? And then you only do that one. Because I just wanted to see if she was saying the same things I was saying about pacing, which I kind of do the same thing, except I just circle number 3, just do that one. So anyways, you guys have anything else to say about feedback? How do you do it? And I also want to ask a follow-up from last week. How is your pacing going? Are you doing better about getting out at the 25-minute mark or getting closer to it? How did everybody's pacing go for the week? Or one of the teachers did, she put something in feedback. So like one word they need to work on specifically. In other words, Heather. All right. So yes, let me know what you guys do for feedback and let me know if your pacing is going better. All right. So how is it? Marianne says, for example, practice the TH sound by looking in a mirror so the student can see their mouth. Yes. That was one of her examples on here, actually. The piece of paper that I printed from Christina Garcia's friend. The student can practice making the sound in the mirror by sticking their tongue between their teeth and blowing air out of their mouth. Once they make the sound a few times, they can practice saying this, the, these, there, those. Okay. You're out by 25:30 on each class, Kim. All right, you got 30 seconds you got to work on. I have had to expand. Okay, well, yes, there's certain slides, right? Like I said last week, write down the slides as you're going by them and come back to them if you need more time, or slides that you can expand on if the pacing. Almost every day. Almost every day you're getting out at 25, Heather? Or almost every day you have to expand? I think of you every class if I go over even 20 seconds. Okay, and like I said, you guys, if I know I have no class afterwards, I'm a lot more chill about that. I had one class today that went over by 6 seconds because I didn't. So, but yeah, I think on Saturday, I almost had a perfect record. I had one class that went over by 2 seconds. So, yes, it makes a huge difference if you have back-to-back classes. And sometimes, like, I go and check on my son and wake him up. I need that full 5 minutes. And it's really only 4 minutes and 40 seconds because by the time I log out, log back into the next class, it's usually at 4:40. Okay, Heather says, every class I've had to expand, my kids have been on a roll. These are regulars. Okay, so if you know ahead of time that this kid, every single class they have to expand, do it from the get-go. From the beginning, you're asking questions on every slide. You're making them spell and do sentences with the sight words. If they're learning how to spell up to 50, have them spell up numbers up to 100 like I did. So kids that are regular and you know every single class, do it from the beginning. My kids do it automatically as of late. In other words, they want to just talk to you. So that's another topic, how to keep them on track. They know my expectations. What are your expectations? So anyways, that's what I had to say about teacher tags and feedback. Anyone else have anything else that you want to say about feedback, pacing, or teacher tags? I think we already finished that. If not, I'm going to go ahead and go. It's my kids' last week of school. How about everybody else? Are your kids out yet? And can everybody give me a like? I have 3 likes. Kim said, y'all, I had a pre-VIP kid this morning who carried on a conversation like a level 4. Oh, wow. So I wonder what level that kid could be in. Yeah, that's when it's hard to know what to do because of the age, they're probably going to stay in pre-VIP kid. But Kim, my kids are out of town. Do you miss them or are you celebrating? Yes, I get to relax more. And by the way, if you guys probably already know this, Kim now has some videos out this weekend. And I've learned all about iTutor Group. I'm definitely going to keep them in mind if one of my 2 companies, something happens, because I always want to have 2, or if I just need hours outside of VIPKID and Gogokid. Both, yes, I know. Mixed feelings. I have the same way when I go away from my kids. I'm usually like really happy I need the break, but I definitely miss them so much, especially as time goes on. Are they out of town for a whole week? Yes, mine have 1 more week this week coming up. They have, yep, 1 more week of school. How about your Chinese kids, you guys? A lot of them have 1 or 2 weeks left. So anyways, I will see you guys next time. I'll see you next week and have a great week. Have a great summer. And I'll see you guys next time. Okay, bye.